Have that sharp or maybe that rope-like stiffness feeling in the back of your Achilles? You're in the right place because I'm gonna show you exactly what you could do to fix this. What's up guys, Dr. Nick Bonforte here. Today's video, we are going all over Achilles tendinopathy. Now real quick, timestamps down below if you wanna skip right to the exercises and miss explanations. Right now you can do that down below, find the exercises, do which ones you want. Now, if you wanna get more in depth and understand the rationalization of why you're doing it and have a better understanding, then I really recommend sticking around for the explanations. So again, timestamps down below if you wanna skip ahead, let's get into it. Now, real quick before the exercises, the Achilles is on the back of the leg. So we have our calf muscles that goes into the Achilles tendon and attaches to the heel. In this video, we're gonna be focusing really on mid-portion Achilles tendonitis or tendinopathy versus insertional Achilles tendonitis. Insertional is where it actually inserts into the bone. There's different modifications for that. We're not gonna go into depth really on those modifications. In this video, we're gonna be focusing on the mid portion of Achilles tendinopathy. So with this first exercise, we're working on isometrics to the Achilles complex. So we're going up on our tippy toes. We're gonna be holding it for a duration of time. In this case, in the beginning stages, I like anywhere from 5 seconds up to 10-second holds, and you come back down. And we want volume here so that we can get input into the system. 3 sets of 10 to 15, and really could try to do these multiple times per day, 2 times or 3 times per day, so that we get enough input into the system to actually make some headway with these issues. Now, isometrics is a great one because it's gonna lower the pain as an analgesic effect. With this, when you go up on your tippy toes, you wanna make sure your big toe and your pinky toe have equal pressure through the ground as you raise your heel up. You don't wanna be biasing going out to the side or going inward. You wanna focus on equal pressure that will help really get enough load equal and symmetrically to the Achilles complex. Now, diving a little bit deeper into why you wanna start with isometrics, isometrics has a pain relieving effect. You're not putting the joint through a very hard dynamic motion, you're just isometrically loading it in a shortened range. With Achilles tendonitis or tendinopathy, typically they're aggravated on stretch with increased load. Now, you do have to put eccentric load through it, which will be an exercise later on, but the idea in the beginning is to isolate it in a shortened position to get input into it. So with this low-level isometric, we're putting it in a shortened position and getting input into the system at a very low-level type of environment versus, as an example, doing little mini jumps. That's a lot of load dynamically, and if you have issues, it can spark it up and hurt. So we have to deload everything, and then we put load isometrically through it, and we can build progressively more and more load through it to ultimately help it get adapted to higher and higher level demands. As an example, I could hold a dumbbell and perform the same concept of this calf isometric versus just my body weight. So you wanna play with those variables of what's gonna be challenging for you to ultimately get to this. Now with isometrics, sometimes it could actually hurt a little bit as you're doing it, but you wanna go into a manageable discomfort versus pushing through it in this whole no pain, no gain type of mentality. That's what you don't wanna do. But with isometrics, it's normal to feel a little uncomfortable when you're doing it. And it's also normal to feel a little uncomfortable after you're done doing it, as long as it's progressively getting better in the overall scheme of things and not worsening. So the next up is progressing to eccentrics. Now with this, we're putting the tissue under length, which needs adaptation so that next time it goes on stretch, it can be prepared for it. But we have to do it in a controlled environment. So with this, we're doing eccentrics where we're going up on 2, then taking one leg off the ground and working on the leg that we're working on. In this example, I'm doing the right side. So I go up on 2 and I'm lowering my body and my heel towards the ground nice and slow, on a 3-second count, on a 5-second count. The idea is to lower it nice and slow so that you can get good input into the system. With eccentrics, you like to build up repetitions with this. 3 sets to 4 sets of 15 reps so that again, you get more and more input into the system. And you could use progressive strategies like holding a dumbbell and doing this, wearing a weighted vest and doing this, but you don't wanna jump to them. You wanna progressively go up to them. So with this, make sure again, equal pressure is between the big toe and the pinky toe as you lower your heel down to the ground. Another progression to this is if the range of motion is not enough to get enough input into the system, you don't really feel it on stretch, you don't feel enough load going through it, we could progress this by elevating us on a surface and going through a larger range of motion. Now this will be, again, a little bit more advanced, but the idea can apply to you if needed. So I'll be on a riser here, and you'll notice I'm using the same concepts. I'm going up on 2, and I'm lowering my heel down nice and slowly to the ground in an eccentric fashion. I'm not just dropping to the ground, but nice and slowly lowering through a larger range of motion on the box. So with Achilles eccentrics, these are foundational depending on the stages of where you're at. In very, very severe cases, that's very acute and really in pain, we don't really jump to eccentrics until we calmed everything down, maybe with isometrics. So with eccentrics, we're putting more load and strain through the tissue, which is needed so that it can actually beef it up so it could take on things. When you're running, as an example, you're putting a lot of load through that. It needs to be getting prepared for that. If we never do that, how are we ever gonna get it up and ready? So with eccentrics, I love progressive overload with eccentrics in different ranges of motion, body weight, then progressing to weights so that you can get more and more input into the system. Now in this case, I'm just doing eccentrics with my knee straight, but you can also get different angles where you apply the same exact concepts and you could bend your knee and do the same thing. When you bend your knee, you bias other areas of the tissue of the lower leg. When you bend your knee, you take out the gastroc, you get really the soleus biased, but it all still connects to the Achilles. It's just a different type of angle, and you can perform the same exact concepts to get more eccentric load through it. In this video, I just demonstrated with the knee straight and going through a larger range of motion, but you could apply with different types of knee angles. At the end of the day, the idea is to progressively overload yourself eccentrically, not going too fast, too much, too soon, and being very strategic on getting higher and higher level loads to the Achilles complex. So with this exercise, we're working on a hip stabilization. A lot of times when we lack strength at the hip, it can lead down the chain, put undue stress on the ankle and foot, and can contribute to Achilles issues. So with this, we're getting reps here to get, again, input. So with this, all of my weight is on that one leg as I move my leg out to the side. You'll feel both of your legs on, but you'll feel really the downside leg on more. You'll feel your hip working. With this, you wanna hold it out anywhere from 5 seconds up to 10 seconds, build up your reps. 3 to 4 sets, 10 to 15 reps, so you get really the hip firing and burning so that you can get more neural drive to the area for hip stability. So the idea with addressing Achilles issues, you can't just have tunnel vision and just work on the Achilles and the ankle foot complex. You have to look above the chain at the quad complex, the hip musculature. So in this case, we're just doing an exercise for hip stability and control by a very simple banded hip abduction one, where we're working on the isometric stability of the leg. This is important because it creates more neural input and more motor unit recruitment of the hip muscles, which then activates the hip more, which then helps down the chain if there is any undue stress or any irritation to the ankle and foot complex, which then contributes to tendinopathy or tendonitis issues. Because it's very rare to have Achilles tendonitis and not have any strength issues. There's usually a correlation between the two. There's also a correlation between hamstring and quad muscle weakness or deficits. So if we're just isolating at the Achilles, we can really miss the boat on other things we have to work on. So with this exercise, we are getting a little bit more functional and dynamic with staying within the parameters of not just overdoing it. So you'll see I'm using some upper body support as an example in this. What we're doing is going into a functional reverse lunge, then coming up on your tippy toes. With this, it creates a little bit of momentum, so we're not just biasing and focusing on the Achilles. With this, we could build up reps, 3 sets, 4 sets, 8 to 12, and you can monitor how much pressure you're using with assistance. If you feel good not to use assistance, then don't use assistance. It's the concepts to really understand through this, and with this one, we can kind of make it come full circle to get a little bit more dynamic movement through it while we're focusing on other areas of the body, while also getting some work and load to the Achilles complex. So now the idea with that one, with the reverse lunge up into a single leg calf raise, we aren't getting too specific on the tissue, but we're just taking the concept of how to get some input into the body while getting more functionality through it. The reverse lunge is pretty functional, I would say, and then adding more into it, like coming up onto your tippy toes, is functional as well, like maybe going up the stairs. So we're trying to build a movement into the mix so that we're getting more input into this dynamic fashion to ultimately help the Achilles complex. Now, also a good concept with this is you can be strategic and build off of it or build into it. So in this case, I'm using some support as I do this. So you could build off of it where you don't need support, which is then getting more and more input and load to the Achilles complex, or you could build off of it by adding weight to the actual movement. Now, if it's in incredible pain, then maybe you might have to skip that one, or maybe you have to use a lot of your upper body support as you do this. But it's understanding the concepts and the rationalization behind why to add something like that into the mix when you're really trying to solve these types of things. So I hope this video was helpful and learn more things about how to go about solving Achilles tendinopathy. Now, are these the exercises, the end all be all? These are the only ones you should be doing? Of course not. There's other things you should be doing, being progressed off, being more strategic on, but these are hopefully opened your mind on some things that you have to address and target more consistently so you can really make some headway in this. If you found value in this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you subscribe down to the channel down below, like this video, leave any comments down below, and I'll see you on the next one.